Have you ever noticed how life sometimes feels unfair? The person who barely scraped through school is suddenly driving a nice car, taking vacations, and talking about investments. Meanwhile, the straight-A student from your class is stressed about bills and student loans. For a long time, that messed with my head, because we grow up believing this simple story. Work hard in school, be smart, get good grades, and money will follow. But real life doesn't follow that script. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people don't want to admit. After a basic level of intelligence, being extra smart doesn't automatically make you richer. Sometimes, it even slows you down. There was a massive long-term study, done using data from people tested. When they joined the Swedish Armed Forces, tens of thousands of people were tracked for over a decade using real income records. At first, higher intelligence did mean higher pay. That part made sense. But after people reached a comfortable middle-class income, something strange happened. The link between IQ and income started to fade. At the very top of earners, intelligence was no longer the main factor at all. Other traits became more important. That tells us something powerful. Once you're smart enough, money stops caring about how clever you are. It starts caring about how you behave. So what are these traits that matter more than raw intelligence? Let's start with the first one: persistence without overthinking. Smart people love understanding every detail before they move. They research. They compare options. They run scenarios in their head. And that sounds responsible, until you realize it often turns into delay. Average people, on the other hand, tend to move with imperfect information. They don't wait for the perfect plan. They start with what they have. Think about investing. Most people quit early because progress feels slow at the beginning. You put in a small amount of money and barely see anything happen. It feels pointless. The people who win are not the ones who calculated the perfect strategy. They're the ones who kept going when results were boring. They didn't quit when growth felt invisible. They stayed in the game long enough for compounding to do its work. The second trait is action over perfection. I once watched two friends approach the same opportunity. One of them spent months planning. He had spreadsheets, projections, and a perfect strategy. The other one just started with a messy version and learned on the way. Guess who made money first? The person who started ugly. The person who accepted mistakes. The person who learned by doing, not by planning forever. Smart people often wait until they feel ready. But in real life, you rarely feel ready. You become ready by moving. The third trait is emotional intelligence. Money is deeply connected to people: clients, customers, bosses, partners, investors. If you can't communicate, handle pressure, and build trust, your intelligence doesn't matter much. Opportunities usually come through people, not textbooks. People with average intelligence often develop emotional skills naturally. They learn how to read a room. They learn how to stay calm under stress. They learn how to listen instead of trying to sound smart. Those skills open doors. They lead to better jobs, better deals, and stronger networks. And none of that shows up on a report card. The fourth reason intelligence can actually hold people back is fear of looking stupid. If you've been called smart your whole life, your identity becomes tied to that label. Failing doesn't just feel like losing money or time. It feels like losing who you are. So you avoid risks. You avoid messy experiments. You avoid putting yourself in situations where you might be wrong in public. Average people don't carry that weight. They don't feel pressure to protect a reputation for being brilliant. They're freer to try things, fail, and try again. And here's the funny part. Most successful ideas look dumb at the beginning. If you wait for your idea to sound impressive before you start, you'll probably never start. The people who win are willing to look silly for a while. The fifth and final reason is not being obsessed with prestige. Smart people are often attracted to impressive labels, fancy degrees, elite titles, luxury brands, and respectable career paths. But prestige is expensive, and expensive lifestyles slow down wealth building. People who don't chase status are more willing to pick practical paths. They choose work that pays well, even if it doesn't sound glamorous. They buy reliable things instead of flashy things. They invest in boring strategies that work instead of exciting ones that look smart. Over time, those boring decisions compound into real wealth. Here's what all of this comes down to. Money doesn't reward intelligence alone. It rewards consistency. It rewards action. It rewards emotional control. It rewards not quitting when things feel slow or uncomfortable. The good news? None of this is about talent you're born with. These are skills you can build. You can practice taking small actions instead of waiting for perfect plans. You can practice staying calm when progress feels slow. You can practice connecting with people instead of trying to impress them. You can practice choosing what works over what looks good. So if you've ever felt like you're not the smartest person in the room, that's not a disadvantage. It might be your freedom. Freedom to move faster. Freedom to try more. Freedom to fail without losing your identity. Freedom to build real wealth while others are still thinking about it. Sometimes, being average is exactly what helps you win the money game.